Well, as y'all probably know by now, big front pushed in on us here late Sunday night, early Monday. The one thing that's drastically going to change is going to be the fishing because of the amount of punch that this particular front has. Big high winds, lots of cold air. It's going to change things dramatically. Water temps are going to drop. Our water levels will drop. All that's going to change location where fish are going to be. So these are the types of things when these big fronts like this, if you're able to fish on Sunday, then you may have had a pretty good opportunity to catch some good fish as far as a prefrontal bite, as far as that thing continued out throughout the day. Now, Monday, Tuesday, and the rest of the week, it's going to be a whole different ball of wax. So these are the types of areas that you're really going to want to start to target once you're able to get back on the water. Kind of see what these water levels do. So I would anticipate quite a bit of water be pushed out of here with the amount of wind that we've had off of this thing. So down here in Bray, you've got lots of good opportunities down here. You've got a deeper edge that's out here off the shoreline. You've got the little back lakes that are back in here, and those will still be in play. But the one thing structure-wise that you're really going to want to pay attention to moving forward, because this kind of front like this can change us and keep us on the cooler or colder side for several weeks based on this particular front and then how many more follow it up and how soon that they follow it up. So you're going to really want to look over mud. Grass are going to be your two main structures like you got here in Bray and this little back lake here, Big Brundit, Little Brundit, both have the same type of opportunities that are back in those if you're able to get into those types of areas based on what our water levels are going to be. Again, everything's going to change. So wherever you've been catching your fish here over the last couple of months, last couple of weeks, few days, those fish are probably not going to be in that area, and I would say that they're not going to be in that area. So you really, if you don't know where areas are that's got mud and grass and maybe some clump shell mixed in there, you're going to want to kind of stay away from the big shell reefs, shell bars, those types of things. They're not going to be, water temps are going to be typically chillier, a little cooler around those as opposed to stuff with mud and grass. That's why it's important to really target those types of areas like stuff like this down here in Bray. You have that type of opportunity. Plus the other thing too, stuck back up in here in these little areas like that with Brundit and Big Brundit and Little Brundit there, and of course the back lakes there in Bray, you get protection from this big north wind that's pushing in here. So that's another thing that you're really going to want to look to. As long as you can safely navigate to get to these types of areas, then that's what you want to be able to do, is target that. Some of these areas you're going to have to go across open bays or burn shoreline or get close to shorelines to get to them without taking a beating in your boat. Again, down in here towards Cedar Bayou, the Matagorda side, this whole back shoreline down in here can be very good for you. There's some deeper guts and edges. There's one particular area back there where the Texas Parks and Wildlife place is that's got that deeper harbor area that used to be there when it had boats in there back pre-Harvey. You got deeper water. So that's another thing that you're going to really want to target is deeper water early and something that's adjacent to that. This may be a mud flat that's got grass and stuff on it. So those are going to be your target areas as we move throughout this week. Our temperatures, we're going to be down in the 40s at nighttime and 50s during the day, and it's going to gradually, as the week progresses, it will get back up into the upper 60s, even low 70s, but still your water temps are not going to recover super fast because of how cool the nights will be. So that's why you're going to, big adjustments going to be made for these fish. They're going to bail off into that deeper water to acclimate. So target areas, deeper water early, adjacent to a mud flat in those particular areas. These are one of these areas that's like that. Main things we've been using now, we're on the back side of a full moon, so we've been throwing much smaller baits like the burner shad. It's been very productive for us. Another things being the Mirrodine, Little Johns by Mirror Lure. Those different types of baits. Now with this type of cold front that's pushed in here and it's going to drop the water temps, and most of these fish are going to continue. They're going to suspend. They're going to get in that deeper edge water. So your Corkies become big time players. Soft Dine XL, Double D, those things that can get down in there to those particular areas, and you can work those baits in a little bit deeper water. So that's something target-wise as far as what the type of bait that you're going to want to use moving forward. Then you just have to adjust accordingly to what your water temps are. There's going to be a big high pressure that's going to come in here after this big front that's pushing through. So that's another thing that you're going to have to contend with as well. So like I say, lots of things are changing. going to be a drastic change. So 16th ounce jig heads are going to be your main thing that you're going to throw with your plastics to really allow that bait to float through the water column, because again, you're going to fish just a little bit deeper early, or whenever you decide that you want to get back on the water. I say my target areas is going to be a gut, deeper edged water type of thing, big muddy flat, big muddy and grassy flat. Those are the types of things that we're really going to start to target here moving forward. One of the areas I love to fish when we start to get these big cold fronts like this that comes in here is right here behind Dunham. You got the old ICW that runs through that. Of course, you got a deeper edge that runs all through this area right through here. It's right there on the double post. It takes you into Carlos, that area right down here around that. So what's great about that, if you haven't fished it, or if you've listened to reports from last winter time, that part of the ICW, you got 18 to 20 foot of water that's right there off a big old muddy flat. It's got some scattered shell that's in there. You got a little bit of grass that's mixed in there. So it lends itself to be very good. The thing too is protection. You've got protection that's back here behind Dunham. So the great thing about that, so if you can get to that area, which you should be able to navigate pretty easily to that without too much trouble, depending on what our winds and stuff are the day that you go on that particular thing. You can come out of St. Charles up there and run down the Blackjack Peninsula Point and kind of ease your way around Dunham Point and then get back into Carlos. You got that whole shoreline, all this back in here off the point, all the way back down in here. So you got some different types of structure that's in here. You got grass that's in here. You got a little bit of mud, not a tremendous amount. You got a little squishy mud, a little bit of packed sand that's in there as well. But you got a deeper edge that's out there. It's very subtle. So when you walk off that, again, we're going to see here in a couple of days. It's not showing right now what our water levels are going to be, but I would imagine probably by Wednesday, Thursday for sure, you're going to see a big dramatic effect of how much water got pushed out of here from where we've been. We've been big bull tides that's been here based off of what that little hurricane was. We had latter part of last week, so we got a big influx of water, but now with this big front in here, it's going to push a lot of water out. So make sure you take that into consideration. That's why the important things to do is make sure that you got a deep water access close to that muddy flat. And again, this is another one of those areas that's in here, up in this area here. You can, and like I say, you can get over there and you can work some shell if you want. Fish, there may be a few fish that are still kind of hanging around that because it is a great structure. But your primary things, deep water early, shallow water late, and that's your main thing that you're going to have moving forward till we get back into the springtime, late April or May. So that's going to be your pattern that you're going to want to work that way. So make sure that you have a good plan in place to work this type of thing. We're probably going to have a pretty interesting winter moving forward based off of what this one front that's had on us. And then, of course, we had a couple smaller fronts that pushed through a few weeks ago that there weren't nearly as significant as what this one is that's pushing through now. But they did change the water a little bit, and the fish kind of moved just a little bit, but they recovered very fast because our water temps didn't stay cool long. But this one's going to be cool for a few days. So you have to adjust accordingly. If you don't, you're going to have some struggle days on the water trying to find fish if you're trying to continue to fish in the same areas. So make sure that you're looking for those areas that what I've been talking about. Now, again, pull your suspension baits out. Your double Ds, your Corkies, your Miradines, XLs. Those types of baits you're going to want, but you can still throw your plastics. I still throw the down south in the burner shad, the original. May sneak the supermodel in there because we're fixed to be in our transition days here not long since we're on the back side of the full moon. So those transition days are wild card days now, coupled with a big cold front. There may be some tough days that are on the water, so you make sure that you have plenty of options that you can throw, and I would lean toward the smaller side of the bait, i.e. the burner shad, the knock and tail 4 and 3 inch that they have in those, the soft dines is a little shorter but a little bit fatter profile. Those are the types of baits you're going to want to begin with to start with to make sure to see what you kind of do and what you can kind of figure out prospect-wise. Now, the other thing, too, that's back up here in this Carlos, if you got the fingers, you got some deeper guts that are in these fingers here. You can try those and work those, but one of the areas that I really love is Spalding because you've got the back lake mouths there. Depending on how much water is going to be left in our system after this front passes through and pushes us out here, you've got the guts that go up into those areas. So those all come into play, and you've got a big flat that's out here on the front of it, especially if the water really drops out here in the Spalding area. So you got lots of opportunity up in this area. Again, your main things are going to want to be this. You got to locate bait. You got your structure that's going to be in play for you, providing that you're going to be fishing over mud and grass. But if that bait's not available to you, because this thing's going to push some bait out of here too. There's going to be a lot of migratory baits that's going to start running out of here. So bait's going to become a very key thing. And of course, the other thing that you're going to have to factor in too, besides what we've already had to deal with, the backside of a full moon, big blue cold front that's in here, duck season cranks up too. So you're going to have to deal with a lot of different things that's going on. So make sure that you adjust and plan accordingly. Majors and minors are still the main thing that we're focusing on, even during these winter months. Those are still things. Fish got to eat every day. So make sure that you put yourself and stack as many good things in your favor as you can to be successful. Over here on Port Bay, just down from Swan. Swan Lake's one of those areas too that you got opportunities to get back in there. Now, the only thing is about that one is trying to get that, especially if you're coming from the Copano Bay Bridge launch. That's a long run around in open bay with big old strong north wind that's going to be kicking across there. So, you've got the little sand ramp that's down there off of 188. So that's another consideration for you too if you want to put in down in that particular area. Ramp's not that great, but it's close. You can navigate it pretty easily, but again, it's going to be one of those things too. How much water is going to be left in there? Because if that thing gets blown out of here so much, if we lose a lot of water, then that little ramp becomes a little bit more difficult to navigate. So just things to consider, think about. The great thing here about the Port Bay right here on this edge of Swan, this whole area here, you got deeper water that you can access. You got nice little grass, muddy flat that's off on this all the way down. Of course, it's open to the north. That's the other thing too. It's going to be kind of maybe a little bit difficult for you to fish. So one thing that you can do here is if you're going to run into this is you get up here on the backside into Swan and run this whole back shoreline either from this direction to based on how strong and what our winds are doing, or you can come around from the other side and you come in that and come through little cuts and get on the back side of it and come around this way. So either way, it's just something you'll have to navigate and see what's going to be happening because a lot of things are changing, man. It's going to be a day-to-day thing. If you're not paying attention to what your tides are doing specifically now, you're going to do yourself a disservice. Water temps are going to be important. Tides are going to be important when your highs and lows are going to be, what's going on. All that stuff becomes even more so in the winter months. You can kind of get around it in the summertime and kind of work your way through stuff, and it's not as big a deal. But if you really don't incorporate your tides, your winds, what type of structure you're fishing over, all that's extremely important this time of year and moving forward. For these next 4 to 5 months, till we get into April and May, it's going to be important for you to make sure that you understand the type of area that you're fishing based on what our weather patterns are. You got nice, good grass that's back in here. You got good, squishy mud that's back in here. Yeah, it's open to the north, but you got these little spoil islands that are out there, and they can protect you from that. You can get on the backside of those and fish. You've got some good mud that's back in some of these areas there. So just make sure that you're aware of that too. Some of these spots, they have some really, really deep mud, and if you're not aware of those, make sure that you're safe with that because you can kind of get yourself in a little bit of trouble, especially if you're fishing by yourself. And if you've got a fishing buddy or a couple of buddies that are going with you, then y'all can kind of navigate and kind of figure some stuff out. But you're going to want to fish these types of areas again. Moving down here off the end of that, on Port Bay, you can get into this area around here on the back side of this. This becomes protected on this little flat that's right in here. And all the way down on this west shoreline, you got a protection from the northeast in this area here, and this whole shoreline taking you all the way down into Port Bay even more so. So all those particular areas become in play. Not just specifically here, you can be any area that that's going to be real reminiscent of the same type of structure. That's what you're going to want moving forward. Again, baits, smaller baits, since we're on the backside of the full moon, start with that. Again, the Mirrodines, your Corkies, soft dines, the smaller baits like your burner shads, the knocking tails, marker 54, the jerk shrimp. Shrimp's going to be an important bait moving forward through the winter months. there won't be as much in the system. So when they see one of these suckers that is kind of jumping around on the edge of a grass line or over potholes, it could give yourself a great opportunity to catch some good fish into that type of thing. So another one of the things that you want to incorporate into your fishing box moving forward. You should have a little bit different style box in the winter months because of the types of baits in there. Again, plastics are the main thing, 16th ounce jig heads, so you can really control the baits into the depths of water. Again, deep water early, shallow water late, paying attention to your majors and minors, really paying attention to what your weather patterns are. This one came in at nighttime with this front, so it was pretty easy. You didn't have to worry about it, but sometimes you'll have them come in the daytime, so you have to adjust accordingly for that. But give yourself plenty of time. Be super patient. It's not going to figure it out in one trip. So there's little things you just need to stack and put together, and that way you moving forward, you'll continue to be successful. And again, make sure you adjust your game plan for this type of weather.